everyone. We are joined by Andy Ommen. He is one of the 2022 SFMA speakers. I joined his session yesterday. It was awesome.
Thank you.
And we just kind of want to recap it, talk about the main points. First, I'll start off by saying it had me wanting to go find a field that I could volunteer at. Your story is so unique in that sense that this really started as, you saw your kid, playing on a field. You saw a kid get a bad hop, lost the game because of that, and a whole, passion started from that. So talk a little bit about that origin story.
Yeah, so it was kind of funny. I wanted to be involved in my kids' athletics, but I'm not a big believer in coaching your own kids because I want them to get yelled at by somebody else.
Yep.
So I was like, how can I be involved? And man, it was like the light bulb hit me across the face when that happened. So we lost the story is we lost the championship game on a bad hop.
Yep.
And I had 10-year-olds crying at me. And I said there was nothing the athlete could have done. Zero. It was all based on poor maintenance of the field. So I decided, how can I get involved? Can I make this field better? And I kind of just started focusing on the field they were playing on. And it just snowballed into the entire complex. And over an 18-year period, really grew from one infield to an entire complex.
Yep.
So that's pretty fun.
And at the end of the day, really, you just being an advocate for this industry in a sense that you probably didn't even know you were advocating for.
No
at the
idea,
time.
right? I mean, as a football player, right? I shouldn't say that because I think my college career ended on a bad field.
Yep.
But I played football in college, and the field doesn't impact you as the way a baseball game does.
Yep.
And you always hear the announcers talk about bad hop and bad this, and again, the wheels started spinning. And I was like, what can I do? What needs to be done? How hard is this?
Yep.
It is hard because we're surrounded by experts, right? But it really isn't hard when you think about it. And it's pretty easy to get passionate about it when you think about kids' safety and the playability of the game. So.
Sure. And you talked about, square one, setting priorities. And I loved what you said about if you can only choose one field, start there and do what you can to make them safe. And then it sounds like from your story, that's kind of how you started, and it trickled into, all these other fields, the whole complex, and now, your own business, a passion to start something on your own. So tell me a little bit about that, like how, you started with priorities and now where you are today.
Yeah, so, that field that we lost the game on, I fixed, right? And then the next level field up was like, hey, why is our field not looking so good?
Yep.
So, and I say looking, but playing, right? So looking is the overall aesthetic purpose of it.
Of course.
But how is it playing? But I knew my kid was going to move up to the next level. So that field started to look better and the next field up. And the board of directors said, so how do we get the whole complex starting to look like the fields that your kid is playing? Because it's very obvious where your kid's playing. So so I just I started to put together a budget and a grounds crew plan and stuff like that. And, as the reputation grew through the complex and then through the what was STMA, now SFMA organization, then local high schools that would play games there and out-of-town teams that would play there said, well, can you help us with our fields? And I thought, boy, now's the time to really jump and start a business that can really help these communities out because, baseball, in my opinion, is one of the most dangerous sports. There's other than football, but it's a ball coming off a bat at 100 miles an hour. It needs to be consistent. So
Of course, and to think that it started, you definitely deserve to start, being on the other end of it. You were a volunteer for 18 years. That's incredible to me. Like I can't. I feel like I would be discouraged the minute somebody was like, "Nope, not going to help you." So, what did that really take to stay motivated as a volunteer? I'm sure you had parents, telling you that they were the expert or coaches not appreciating what you were doing. To somebody that wants to volunteer or is doing this for little to no money, what is your advice to them?
And I think it boiled down to just the fact that I could see such a major difference that I was making. And then, again, joining SFMA and knowing that I had that expert organization behind me gave me some confidence. And it's hard, man. The toughest thing to do is rain out a game.
Yeah.
Because your soccer mom, and I don't mean mom, but dads alike, we had a dad that claimed he could get our complex dry every year.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, no, I've got this. So it's not easy. It's not hard. The last thing I want to do is rain out a game, but I get accused of it all the time. That's all I care about is raining out games. So it's just a matter of staying true to what you believe in, true to what you know you were doing and driving for, and what your end result was.
Yep. And let's talk a little bit about, the technique as far as you're starting out in this, you don't know anything about it. You had to create a lot of your own equipment. For somebody that might be in similar situation, what are those first areas that they should look at to kind of, attack to make sure that it's playable and safe?
Yeah, so safety, as I said in my speech, is number one. So you got to walk your field, you got to look at where a ball might bounce awry, and you really kind of got to start drilling down into the micro parts of the game. And then what kind of budget do you have? What do you need? Yeah. You may not have any. I started with zero. We did not have a turf management program at all, nothing. So, I just asked, can I have a little bit of money to start doing some things to make the grass a little better and all that stuff. And I've lost my train of thought now. Where were we?
You're good. We were talking about just like those areas that you want to attack first.
And just starting to look at what other places do and what other things do, dive yourself into things. And again, I went to a seminar and I saw guys that were working on the Little League World Series. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But then I started looking at what the equipment they were using. What does it take to do this? And why do you have that piece of equipment? And I literally stumbled on a rake and I thought, well, I can make that leveling board pretty easy. And I'm a pretty handy guy, so it's pretty easy to start making some things. So cool. And then you slowly prove the worth of that product that you produces. And you say, can I buy the next thing and the next thing? And as long as you can demonstrate that what you're building and what you're doing is making a difference, then it's worth it. And that's my board of directors. I was blessed with an amazing board of directors. They trusted me with everything. And they knew that the joke was I should never come to the STMA show because I'm going to spend a lot of money. My treasurer would cringe every time I came here. And I was like, listen, I'm just getting ideas. And sure enough, from this amazing showroom, I did a lot of things, but not at that level. But what I needed to do to just start making improvements.
Definitely. And, you talked a little bit about just asking, like just starting there and how that was so impactful to what you were able to accomplish. Tell us a little bit about that and, why a turf manager, it's their responsibility to advocate for their position, justify their bottom line, but then also put themselves out there and ask for, just ask.
Yeah, asking is, man, the worst answer is no, right? So you can ask to do anything. Can I fly in your private jet? No. Okay, so what am I out? No. No big deal, right? So I just figure I've always lived my life with that philosophy. You can ask my mom when I was 6 years old, asking her to do crazy things, right? But I always lived by just saying no. So when I got involved and I started learning about turf and stuff like that, I called one of the local golf course guys, didn't know him, and said, hey, I'm the Little League guy down the road. Do you mind if I can talk to you a little bit about what I can do? And he could have said no. And you know what I did? I called the next golf course superintendent, right? But he said yes. He met me at my ballpark, and he's like, here's kind of where I would start if you can do it. And he didn't say buy $100,000 worth of equipment. He's like, baby steps, because he's been through it. He was the expert at the time, not me. And I was like, I just need some guidance on how to do this. So got in with a couple golf course guys. They kind of taught me. And again, we talked about this took probably 10 years, well, I'd say 6 years to get built to where it was a quality field. It wasn't like it happened overnight, right? And I had to slow myself down and realize that this isn't going to happen this year. It might happen next year, it might happen the year after that. But again, the more confidence that you built in your community and your board of directors and your supporters, the more loose the checkbook got and the more I was able to spend money. And the more games we played, the more hot dogs we sold.
Of course. Right? So you talked about that, how it was just like, even a simple statement like that helps justify that bottom line. And, really advocating for sports field managers to collect those data points. So look at the numbers, look at how many games you're, like, even if the percentage is up 16%, that might get you an extra $1,000.
Oh, easy. Yeah, absolutely. And again, the story for our complex is we scheduled all our games out, and before we had a turf grass program, we'd play 75% of our games in the summer. And once we built that and we got to where it was about 84, 85%. Now, Mother Nature plays a role in that year in, year out. but just the, having that X percentage more of games feeds into concession stand sales, which is really where my budget comes from,
Yep.
And so forth. And that was just a big deal. So it proved itself was worthwhile, much less the insurance costs of kids getting hurt, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so I've definitely followed along with a lot of the projects you've taken on, or just your commentary in general on Twitter. Andy Ommen one.
Yeah, Andy, I'm the one, yeah. I'm not sure why I have the one, but I do. So.
Number one.
Yeah, there you go.
And I think that utilizing that as a resource, it could be so helpful for people. And it's something that I've enjoyed, your stories. So I'm sure we're going to see more coming from the new company. So I would love to hear you just tell us a little bit about that, what the vision is, and what you guys hope to accomplish with it.
Yeah, and thank you. I appreciate the follow, and anybody else that follows me, it's great.
Yeah.
I just Twitter was kind of new, and I started playing around with it, and I thought some of the stuff's kind of interesting, and I'm at the middle of the ballpark in the middle of the day, and nobody knows I'm there or what we do, and I thought it might be kind of fun just to kind of advertise a little bit what a grounds crew does.
Yeah.
And it's really snowballed. It's kind of a fun avenue for me, and I've learned some hard lessons that way, and I've learned some easy lessons that way. But yeah, so we've spun off this company, and our mission hasn't changed, right? It's all about bringing safety to the sports field environment. So I don't care if it's a football field that's too compacted. We've got deep tie and aeration equipment. We've got top dressing equipment that will help soften the field and make the grass grow a little better. Baseball fields, the number of injuries that are taking place on baseball fields is growing exponentially, in my opinion. And so we're just there, and whenever I show up at a job and say, we need help with our field, the first thing I point out is safety.
Yep.
Right? I go to where I know trouble areas are the field, and I say, and I point them out, not aggressively, but just say, hey, have you ever had a kid take a bad hop? Have you had a kid roll an ankle here? We can fix this for you, and it's going to be better for us to fix it there. And then we start with budget. So it's what SFMA. It's going to take a while to get used to, right?
We've all been butchering it all day.
SFMA is going to have to get used to. It's what we're about.
Yep.
And I think having this organization behind me just gives you that much more clout and more expertise. So
definitely. And talking about clout, you didn't mention the actual name of the company, so I'll do it for you. Professional Outdoor Solutions.
Yes, thank you. Professional Outdoor Solutions. Yeah, it's a funny story how we kind of came about. So I was at a demo day for a company, big company. And two golf course guys sat across from me at lunch, and they're like, what are you doing here? And they said, well, we just renovated a softball field, and it was really cool. We're like heroes of the town, and now they can play softball in this field. And I was like, oh, really? I'm kind of in baseball stuff. And they said, oh, that's pretty cool. And they said, well, we're thinking about forming this company because it was so much fun. The golf industry, they complain about the pin placements, and they complain that the fairways are too wet or too dry.
Yeah.
But all we did was till some dirt up, and we were heroes.
Yeah.
And I said, well, let's talk.
Yeah, I could be interested in that.
Let's start thinking about this. So, I knew a little bit about turf grass. I had taught myself a bunch. They're experts. I mean, they both have turf degrees. I don't have a turf degree.
Yeah.
But I knew a lot about dirt and about the baseball. So it was a great blend between the three of us. And it's really taken off. We're super excited about it. In a slow growth period, trying to find our wheelhouse right now, but laser grading and deep tie aeration, and it's kind of what our wheelhouse is right now. So.
And 20 years ago, could you imagine?
Well,
this is what you would be doing.
No
That's
clue.
So unique. What a cool story.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of lost 20 years ago. I had a kid playing baseball, and that was, and it's like, where would you go? And I will tell a quick funny story because I love to tell stories. But back when I was in high school, my dad would have me mow the yard, and one day he came home and he goes, "No, Andy, you can't mow the yard in two different directions." Actually, three directions. and I said, but wait, Dad, look. It's got our high school logo in the yard. Swear to God.
That is so cool.
And he's like, oh, I get it. So even back when I was in junior high, there was something in the back of my brain.
You had an innate interest in it.
But yeah, I seriously mowed my backyard in our high school. Not the logo itself, but the letters of the high school. So it was pretty funny.
My take, I would never make it as a sports field manager because I would purposely do an awful job anytime my dad asked me to mow, so that he would never ask me to do it again.
That's awesome.
So I don't have it in me. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I enjoyed your session, and I think everyone that didn't get a chance to be here this year will be able to get some insight.
Tomorrow morning. I'm back on tomorrow morning, and I'm drawing a blank on the time. I'm sorry, but it's in the brochure.
Maybe 10? No, 8?
I don't know. It's in
Look
the
at the
brochure.
brochure.
That's a long time for me. You can see how far in advance I plan. But
Yeah.
no, tomorrow morning's another session. So if you didn't make it, come on out. So,
Awesome. Thank you so
appreciate it.
much.
Thank you, Meg. Appreciate it.